topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Churchill said, "Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it." Kevin Hallinan believes that certainly applies to business. Welcome to Winning Business Radio, here at W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. And now, your host, Kevin Hallinan.
Thanks for joining in today, everybody. I am Kevin Hallinan, and welcome back to Winning Business TV and Radio on W4CY.com. We are streaming live on Talk4TV.com. That's the number 4, Talk4TV.com. In addition, we're streaming live at Facebook, and that's on Facebook at Winning Business Radio. And of course, we're available in podcast after the live show on tons of platforms, pretty much wherever you get your podcast content. We are there. YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, again, everywhere. The mission of Winning Business Radio and TV, as regular viewers and listeners know, is to offer insights and advice to help people avoid the mistakes of others, to learn best practices, the how-tos, the what-tos, the what-not-tos, to be challenged, and I always say to hopefully be inspired by the successes of others. Those others are consultants, coaches, advisors, founders and owners, entrepreneurs, people with expertise. But, virtually every one of those successful people I've ever had a chance to talk to has had some form of failure in their lives or careers. So while we all have to get our knees skinned once in a while, every week I say I'm driven to keep those scrapes from needing major surgery. Let's endeavor to learn from history so we don't repeat it. I've spent the better part of my career equipping businesses to grow, from solopreneurs to small to medium-sized companies, all the way up to the Fortune 50. I've seen some of those companies win, and to varying degrees, I've seen some fail. I've had the opportunity to rub elbows with some of the highest performing people around and with some people who probably should have found other professions. In my own businesses, I've had lots of success, but some failures too. So I like to think I've learned a lot from those experiences. So you'll hear from me, my opinions and insights, but anybody who knows me will tell you that I sometimes have a hard time being quiet. So mostly we're going to hear from experts, those consultants, those coaches, advisors, founders, and owners and entrepreneurs. And today is one of those. Today, my guest is Scott Yelle. He's founder and president of New England Sales Solutions and co-founder of the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation. Here's his bio. Scott Yelle is the founder and president of New England Sales Solutions. He brings 20 plus years of sales leadership experience to help small to mid-sized businesses, managing teams from 7 to 200. He helps grow company revenue and profits by conducting a customized assessment of their business and helps to develop a strategy and execution plan to achieve desired results. Prior to starting New England Sales Solutions, Scott worked for a Fortune 100 global company in a variety of leadership roles in distribution, procurement, marketing, and business-to-business selling. He is a high-integrity, hands-on leader whose passion is to coach and help people to succeed. He's turned divisions around while providing high customer service and sales teams development at the same time. Prior to his career in scales, let's try that one again. Prior to his career in sales, Scott attended the Culinary Institute of America. He also co-owns a fishing charter business. Scott grew up in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York and now lives in Cape Cod with his wife, Andrea, and daughter, Lexi. They have a love of the outdoors, sports, great food, and travel. Scott's family started the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation in 2023 to honor their late son, Jackson, who was killed by a drunk hit and run driver at the age of 21. Scott recently finished a quest that his son Jackson and he had to visit every major league ballpark. The foundation donated $1,000 to the Nike Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities program at each of those remaining ballparks to support the development of young men and women. Scott, welcome to Winning Business Radio and TV. Thanks for being here. I know how busy you are.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro, and it's good to see you again.
You too. It's been a while. I know life changed dramatically for you, and we'll get to that. I want to talk about your background a little bit first, but I think, well, I just want the audience to know, and I mentioned it to you briefly, that my wife and I and another couple are actually doing that same ballpark tour for very different reasons. Yours is a much better reason. We're just doing it because we're about halfway there, though. So you wrapped it up in pretty short order. We had a few years left, so we take about
Yeah,
2 to 3 trips a year.
yeah, it's interesting. Before the whole thing with Jackson, we'll get into
Mm.
it, but I didn't realize what a big deal it is and how many folks are
Yeah.
actually doing it. It was just kind of spur of the moment for Jackson and I when we
Yep.
started. But yeah, you're one of many.
Are you doing the passport, or did you do with him the passport little book?
I did after the fact because I
Yeah.
didn't know about it,
Yeah.
right? And so unfortunately, once Tim Parks, who started that company, heard my story, he sent me one for free, and so I have
That's cool.
18 done. So now I have an excuse to go to the other 12 to complete my book.
Yes, you do. Maybe I'll run into you. It's funny. I forget where we were, Pittsburgh or somewhere. We look over. I mean, we like to sit, not in the seats right on the field, but one aisle and then right there, a little up,
Yeah,
right for first baseline. Pretty much every park. We've sat at third and stuff too, but we try to sit. Anyway, adjacent on the very back row of that lower section,
yeah.
our friend's son and his then girlfriend, now wife.
Oh, how funny.
Pretty funny.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it's great because I've got to meet some other people like you
yeah,
on my journey as well.
yeah,
So, but we'll dive into that.
yeah.
So,
So let's start with your family. Tell us about Andrea. I'm sure your better half, as we like to say.
yeah. Married 26 years, maybe
Mhm,
27. So don't hold me to that, Andrea. California girl. I got her
mhm.
got her to the west to the East Coast here. So
Good for you.
she again an entrepreneur and runs a
Yeah,
company. For herself. She's in the kind of the HR recruiting space and yeah, we love our life here on the Cape.
that's awesome. Tell us about your kids. Tell us about Lexi.
Yeah, daughter Lexi, she just left last Thursday. She's in her sophomore year at Cornell.
Nice.
So she got her
Well,
smart from her mother.
yeah, mom's footsteps, right?
Yeah, mom went to Cornell as well, and grandpa. So she's a triple legacy. So she's enjoying college life. I got a fun video of a slip and slide down the hill at outside the sorority house
That's
from
cool.
Saturday. So yeah, so
That's cool.
she's in good spot.
Well, I'll hold off on having you talk about Jackson until a little bit later.
Sure.
Um, how did you make the move from, there's probably a process there, from upstate New York to Massachusetts and in particular to Cape Cod?
Yeah, so it was a long journey. So it actually went through Vermont and California where I met my wife. That's
Hmm.
where I started with Cisco Foods. I was with Cisco Foods for 21 years, and
Right.
where most of my sales leadership came from. So, and they wanted to get back to the East Coast. They actually had a short stop in Connecticut and then back to the Cape full time. My mom and all my mom's side of the family is long roots to the Cape. So we always came here as a kid.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and Andrew and I knew we wanted to retire here at some point and kind of sped that up and started my business back in 2017
Nice.
and moved here full time.
Where were you in Connecticut?
Just outside of Hartford, small town. Well, shouldn't say so. The town of Glastonbury. So we were
Mhm.
there for about 8 years.
Yes. So my dad grew up in Plainville. My mother grew up in
Oh yeah,
Cheshire. So we used to go to
yeah,
Cheshire. And then she had a sister and brother-in-law in Madison. So we used to go to Madison a lot as well.
yeah. Very close by.
Yeah. Yep. What were your early interests? And I know you went to culinary school. We'll get to that in a moment. That may have been it. I don't know. But what were you into when you were young?
Yeah, well, sports. So
Yeah.
I mean, I played 3 sports growing up in high school,
Yep.
and then cooking. For some
Mm.
reason, just was gravitated to that. As soon as I could get a job, I washed dishes, and
Yeah.
I don't know, just fell in love with the kitchen life, and so went to culinary school. And um, but like any probably teenage boy, besides sports and chasing girls and hanging out with my buddies,
Yep.
but yeah, and then love of sports all my life.
Uh, were you a New York fan?
Ooh, no.
Not. So you grew up, you spent so much time in New England. Okay, good. That's good then,
Yeah,
by
my
the way.
my
We'd have
dad
to end
trained
it.
me.
We have
My
to cut
dad
it
trained
short
me
if you're a
well.
Yankees fan. Sorry.
Yeah, my dad trained me well. He took me to a Red Sox game first. I'm a Red Sox, Celtics, and Bruins fan.
Yep.
But I am a Buffalo Bills fan. So
That's
I know
fair.
I'm in tough water here in New England, but
Yeah, could be worse. Could be a Gi I didn't used to mind the Giants.
yeah,
Now oh, man,
yeah, or the Jets. So
Well, Jets I wasn't too concerned about. Now I'm concerned again,
yeah,
we have a first world problem with our football team this year, don't we? We were
yeah. I
spoiled
think
for so long, so
I think they're going to be vastly improved.
well, there's so I don't know. I'm not even sure they're a playoff team, but yeah, it's going to be fun to watch anyway.
Yeah.
So sounds like you kind of parlayed that culinary experience to get into Cisco, and yet you ended up on the selling side, the business side versus the food side, if you will. How did that happen?
Yeah. So I was actually working in Vermont, and someone approached me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a sales rep?" And, family was always important to me, and it became quite apparent early on that, trying to work the hours of a head chef and have a family, it's just not super conducive. And again, tons of people have done it and
Sure.
don't knock them, but didn't have any family at the time. So it was easy to say, "Hey, I'll try the sales thing. And if I don't like it, I can always go back to cooking."
I mean, how hard could it be? It's only, you just sell stuff to people.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Piece of cake. So so I actually fell in love with it. Right. It was great. It was easy in the sense that I could talk about product because of my culinary background.
Right.
I had to learn how to sell and learn how to, do my biz dev and learn how to take rejection and all that failure that comes along with it. And, get my teeth knocked out a little bit and learned the school of hard knocks. But I excelled and did well at it and actually really enjoyed it. So.
And then sales leadership, of course.
Yeah, super thankful, right? So, so I left a small independent food service and joined Cisco and was there for 21 years and a world of opportunities. A couple different vice president roles and then ran sales for a very large division here in the Northeast. And without that experience, I couldn't have started my own company. So it was, when you have 1,000 some odd salespeople under your responsibility, it's sometimes hard to move the needle. But I had no regrets and loved my time there.
Yeah. So this is a big question. You could take you anywhere, but what's one key lesson learned from your time at Cisco? I mean, you had a ton of experience over 21 years. What's one key takeaway you can share?
Yeah. So from a salesperson standpoint, from the folks that are out in the front lines, dealing with customers, and this may seem really simple, but I'm amazed at how many people don't follow up. And to me, it's like if someone asks you for something, it's an open door for a selling opportunity. It's amazing to me how many people don't follow up. So if you're new into sales or been there for a long time, if someone's reaching out, take the time to follow up. But I'm not saying you got to follow up in 10 minutes, but make sure
it's a little too aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And then I think from a leadership standpoint, for me, it was always about how can I help you? How can I help coach you to success? I want to help you get there without taking on that ownership and responsibility. I'll be there to support you, but you kind of got to meet me halfway. Meaning you got to put in some of that work and effort too. And so to me, that was key, I think, to my success is trying to coach and manage people to be successful at sales on their own 2 feet.
Absolutely. I'm going to amen that. We've got about a minute-ish before we take the first break. You've done a lot of contract work as a sales leader. Talk about some of that. And this is prior to the fractional work you do at New England Sales Solutions. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, had some pretty big ones, right? State of Connecticut, we landed some work and, so it's an interesting different process. So when you say contract, you meaning like, working independently with somebody or like signing or gaining contracts through Cisco? Sorry.
No, you as a contract provider.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically I'm working with that kind of small to mid-sized family-owned business. It's quite interesting because the owners and that I deal with are usually great salespeople. They, because they built the product or the service and they can really talk about it and be really influential, but they don't necessarily know and understand how to build and manage a sales team. And that's kind of where I came in. Yeah. And so I really would say I probably focus mostly on operations and helping them build that foundation to be able to grow and succeed and have repeatable sales.
We are right at quarter after. We're going to take our first commercial break right here, Scott. So everybody, we'll be back in just a minute with Scott Yelle. He is founder and president of New England Sales Solutions and co-founder of the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation. Be right back.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
Have you ever dreamt of being on the radio? Well, now is your chance. Be a radio show guest on the #1 ranked internet radio station and promote you and your business for free. Yes, you heard it, free. Business advertising right here on W4CY.com. Call 561-506-4031 now to get booked on one of our shows. That's 561-506-4031. Get your free advertising now.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind, to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
We're back with Scott Yelle. He is founder and president of New England Sales Solutions and co-founder of the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation. We'll get to that in a little bit. You were a franchisee for a while with Sales Acceleration, very good organization. That's when you and I met. Tell us about your time there. What you accomplished, what you were able to do, what your work was. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a great organization. If people don't know what it is, it's a group of seasoned vice presidents of sales that have decided to go into the consulting world. And so there's some structure and organization there. And it was a great experience. Again, no regrets at all.
Sure.
And enjoyed my time as being part of the group. Met a lot of great people, helped with my foundation, I would say, as I started business for myself for the first time, and hung my own shingle. And again, there's a group of people that support each other in helping small to mid-sized companies trying to have more repeatable sales and get through some of those tough times when it's like to be a small business owner today.
So as a franchisee, and in particular with that organization, if it even matters from this perspective, what was your experience as a franchisee in general and some key lessons learned?
Yeah, so it was very positive. Again, I enjoyed my time there and would highly recommend it to anyone that's in the sales arena who has a VP of sales type background. Again, the reason I joined was help in marketing my business and getting it off the ground, and putting some structure to kind of my consulting business. And, that's all the stuff that they provided. So. And again, it was a great network. There's 6 or 7 of us here in New England, so I could lean on folks if I had questions or wasn't quite sure about something. Again, just super supportive. We had an annual meeting every year. Talked about what's coming out, and so as far as new products and services and how to better position ourselves and how to add value and service the customer.
So then you founded. Tick the clock a little bit there. Some additional contract assignments in fractional sales leadership, interim, better word, a different word for fractional. Then you founded New England Sales Solutions. So tell us about the company, but first tell us what was behind the decision to start New England Sales Solutions.
Yeah, it's a little deceiving, Kevin. So actually, they ran side by side. So
I saw that.
Was always there. But I left Sales Acceleration mostly because I just felt like I kind of outgrew them in the sense that I was able to build my network. I had a great referral network, people like yourself and folks in the providers group. And so I needed less of what they were providing from a marketing standpoint anymore. And so it was hard. I mean, I still miss some of those folks and the friends, but the work was essentially the same, but just doing it all on my own and without the marketing support anymore.
Fair enough. Tell us about the company, New England Sales Solutions.
Yeah, so I'm a solopreneur, like a lot of independents out there, and again, working for anybody in the kind of any vertical. Doesn't really matter. I don't have to be the product expert or the services expert. It's because again, I focus most of the time on operations.
Right. Sales, specifically operations.
Yeah, sales, so things like, the right job descriptions, the right compensation programs, reviewing their sales process, making sure the sales process is tied into their CRM, making sure there's performance programs and the right KPIs and, teaching, owners or potential new managers how to coach effectively.
Right.
So all those sorts of things that happen kind of behind the scenes that not everybody is aware of, and just try to help them find a way to have what I call repeatable sales, right? There's more of a system in place and some great standard operating procedures. And then someone can take the ball and run with it. So I find my replacement and then move on.
So how often, what's the length of an engagement if it's interim sales leadership, which you do quite a bit of, if not every engagement, I'm not sure, but how long does that interim term typically go on?
Yeah, typically when someone engages me for an interim role, which is where I come in and actually take over all of the leadership of the sales team for them, it's typically 12 months.
Okay, yeah.
And about the 9-month mark, we're working to find my long-term replacement, which may be inside the organization or outside. But it could be a three-month gig where it's really just want some assessment done and helping hire the first person, or a client I wrapped up with tomorrow. And that was really all by, hey, they hired their first salesperson, putting some stuff in place for them to be successful and carry on, right? So that was just a 3-month gig. So one of the great things about working for yourself is I can just kind of try to customize and help somebody in any way, shape, or form, and have a lot of freedom and flexibility to pick and choose how I help somebody. I've done just compensation programs for folks, really a wide variety.
And you're at the point in your life, and we'll talk more about the foundation after the next break, or we'll probably get to it before the break, but you're not trying to be this giant company. You're very selective. You want to remain sort of nimble so you can do a lot of other things.
Yeah, I would say one of the side benefits that I probably didn't appreciate before I started was that I get to pick and choose who I work with. Yep. And so I'm really fortunate, I would say, over the last 6 years to have some really great customers. And some become friends. Having dinner with one next week that I haven't seen in 2 years. And so that's really a plus, to doing this on your own. And so I can, again, pick and choose and I'm not sure I'm answering the question, but
that's it.
It's flexibility and having the right people. But I've made some mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I've had some clients that I probably shouldn't have signed with, but that unfortunately you have to learn some things.
Well, take a moment and talk about that, because this is really about helping people avoid those types of mistakes, which I've made too, Scott. Trust me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right. And so I think I took on a client, and it started as I was helping coach their VP. Right, he'd come from a really large corporation, and I was really the only salesperson that was in the organization. And so then the owner let that person go and had me take over the sales team, but there really wasn't a sales team, right? And I probably overcommitted to doing things that really need to be done by somebody day in and day out that I couldn't do based on my
you're not there 40 hours.
Right. And so based on that workload, I probably overcommitted to something. And so it just ended in kind of, I don't want to say poorly, but just, it was ended. I need to go. And it was a mutual, separation. And just, sometimes trying to take on too much and try to, can't be everything to every customer.
Yep. So a little bit more motivation here for that change. Big switch. Your world must have ended last June in some ways, right? With the passing of Jackson. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So last April 30th of 2023, unfortunately got that call at 9:30 in the morning that your child is gone and deceased, as the coroner had said. And I think you've said it best, right? The Sky Yelle that existed on April 29th is very different than the one that was, woke up on April 30th and has been here ever since. And you just, priorities change, right? And so prior to his death, I would have a pretty hefty workload of 4 or 5 clients at a time, and just realize that, hey, I'm fortunate I work for myself. So, I mean, that's probably one blessing. I'm not sure I could have endured all this had I had my corporate gig, right?
Yeah.
But working for myself gave me some freedom and flexibility to work through the grief and the pain, and but slow down, right? Try to have 2 or 3 clients at a time at the most, and just take life at a little different pace. And I love still working with customers and seeing the fruits of my labor of helping them grow their sales team and get their sales growing, but not to the stake of 4 or 5 clients in a pretty hefty 60-hour work week.
So when did you guys figure out you wanted to start a foundation? He passed in April of 23. What's the timeline there?
Yeah, it was September of 2023. So we got through the summer and just kind of the craziness of all that had come in and getting my daughter off to school. And then, my wife and I had said, hey, let's do this, right? And kind of got the ball rolling from a legal
was Lexi
standpoint.
able to, I guess the answer is yes. I'm kind of answering it myself. Lexi was able to finish her freshman year.
Yeah. So she was, when it happened, she was about to graduate. So she graduated high school.
Oh, high school. Okay.
And then,
okay.
and then we took her to freshman year. So she, obviously
Right.
left.
Right. I
So
missed that.
4 or
Yep.
5 months. Yeah. 4 or 5 months after his death.
Mm.
So in some ways, I think if you asked her, she'd tell you it was a blessing, because she could only tell the story to people she wanted to versus kind of everybody knowing here in town. It's kind of scenario. So, we started the foundation. Did all the legal piece, right? You got to file with the state, and then you send.
You're a 501c3, right?
Yeah, then you file all your paperwork with the IRS and wait for that approval, and then find some board members, and now what do we do, right? How do we raise money? Who do we partner with? All that kind of fun stuff. And we haven't got it dialed in. We're not even a year old, but I mean, I think we've done some good work in the first year for sure.
Well, I did do some little bit of research. I almost said opposition research. I don't know where that phrase just popped in. It's certainly not that. And I looked at the board members. I know they're friends, but they look like some heavy hitters. So looks like you got some really good expertise there. But I understand that Lexi and Andrea are very heavily involved. And I smiled when I saw who the president of the foundation is.
Yeah. So Lexi's the president. So the goal there was give her some experience. She wants to go into business, right? Yeah. And so she is the youngest and gets to manage this group of adults. So we just thought this was a good learning opportunity as well. But also then she can hopefully carry on the torch even after. Unfortunately, Andrew and I aren't going to live forever. But so she can carry on that torch. I haven't found that magic potion yet. If you've got it, you got to share.
Yeah. Although I've been to Southern Florida and seen that. So talk about the work. You said fundraising, and I'm curious how you figured that out. What you figured out so far for fundraising. You've clearly raised money, but talk about the work that the foundation does. Yeah,
so we seeded the foundation with the Elon club baseball team that Jackson was part of down at Elon University, raised $40,000 within about 4 days. Of Jackson's passing. So we took that money and made that the seed money for the foundation. So that really kind of gave us a little bit of a leg to stand on as we got into things. So we knew we wanted to do something at the high school for Jackson. So we started a scholarship there. And then because he was a varsity baseball player, and a lot of folks donated to the Nauset Warriors high school booster team club. So we matched that, and we're able to help the baseball team buy a new hitting turtle, that cage that goes around home plate.
Yeah, that's cool.
Started the Jackson Yelle scholarship at the high school. And then we also took some of the money and gave it back to the club team. So the field that they play on down Elon doesn't have a dugout. So the dugouts are in the process of being built. They'll be up and live before November 1st of this year. We'll go down for the dedication. And so Jackson will have a place on campus for years to come. And then I don't know, probably, do we have time to get into MLB, or do you want to wait till after the break?
Yeah, we'll wait let's take the break right now. There's no fixed schedule. Right about now is good. So let's do that. We'll be back in about 1 more minute, Scott. Everybody will be back with Scott Yelle.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
The YP.com website is your local search engine. If you're looking for a good restaurant, it can help you find the right one nearby with ratings and reviews. Or if your car breaks down, you can use the YP app to find the closest repair shop. Or maybe you're just looking for something to do on a Friday night. Well, it has great local coupons for all sorts of things in your area. No matter what, when, or where, if you're looking for something, YP Local Search can help you find it. So go to YP.com or download the app to search local, find local, and save local.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind: to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
We're back with Scott Yelle, and in particular, we're talking about his role as secretary/treasurer of the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation. First, before we get into our RBI, and I want folks to know about that because I think it's underknown, but how do you go about raising money? What have you figured out so far? And I'm sure you have a lot to learn yet, but how have you raised additional money, or how do you plan on raising an additional money?
Yeah. So first and foremost, most of we had friends and family, right?
Mhm.
And then as we started this baseball tour that we'll talk about, reached out to some people and had some corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
And the next big thing fundraising wise that's coming up is we're having our first fundraising golf tournament on October 4th down here on the Cape. We've already got a full field of 144 folks, working on tee sponsors and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's the next big fundraising thing for us. But yeah, it's something that I'm sure every nonprofit, worries about and figures, struggles to find out. We don't know all the answers yet. I think getting our name out in the press, which, the RBI tour and the baseball tour has really helped us, garner some attention.
Yeah.
Huge
ESPN,
help.
Boston Globe, and others.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get to how people can help in a little bit, but you've really parlayed your and Jackson's love for baseball, sports in particular baseball. So now talk about Nike RBI baseball.
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit. So Jackson and I, baseball fans, and we had realized one weekend, probably traveling to a baseball game, that, hey, we'd been to 3 or 4 clubs or parks, I should say, already. And I said, hey, why don't we try to go to all 30? I said, hey, it's something we can do for the rest of our lives, and someday we'll get it done. There was no timetable or anything. And he's like, yeah, let's go for it. So, and so before he was killed, we were able to get to 12 of the 30, kind of all over various parts.
Yep.
I don't know. It just kind of hit me last summer, and I was thinking about, gee, it'd be really cool to finish the tour in his honor, to help raise some money for our foundation, but then also to give to something, right, to some sort of a organization and get back. And so I just threw it out into the world, and big believer when you throw things out in the world, things come back, and just said, hey, what are some organizations that maybe we could partner with from a baseball standpoint? And a good friend of ours, Trey Wingo, mentioned the Nike RBI program, did a bunch of research, and said, yeah, it's a perfect fit. So then I put my salesman hat on and biz dev, and I started reaching out to the folks at the RBI program. They have a form, and I was professionally persistent and a couple of phone calls, and they graciously got on the phone to listen to my spiel. And but baseball, I would say, they kind of take care of their own, and I would say this kind of really morphed into something way above what I ever imagined. When I got on the call with him, it's like, well, all I'm asking for is I'll go to every these 18 ballparks that Jackson and I never visited, and I'd like to donate $1,000 to each of those clubs' RBI program. All I wanted was a ticket to get in and someone to take a picture with me.
That's such a light ask.
Yeah, with my big fake check, right? And that was it. And it turned into so much more. I mean, they really just embraced us all, and the IBR folks and MLB and MLB.
Don't forget, you got a jersey. You got not a jersey, a T-shirt everywhere too. Yeah.
So Fanatics and MLB made me a custom jersey for every. They had the foundation logo on one side, the RBI logo, the number of the stadium on the back. So that was cool. And then,
that's why I saw the 30. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so then some parks gave me jerseys of their club. Some people had me throw out the first pitch.
Wow.
And again, then MLB Central decided to do a Father's Day piece, and
wow,
actually had videographers at every one of the stadiums. I went to New Jersey to Secaucus to the studios and did some taping, and then they met me in Detroit for stadium number 30 and did some taping, and they did a really nice MLB piece that came out on Father's Day weekend. So yeah, it was again, it was overwhelming.
You haven't sung the national anthem yet?
No.
They don't want you to do that?
You don't want me to do that. I don't sound good even in the shower, so
that's fine.
You definitely don't want me to sing the national anthem.
So what is RBI baseball?
Yeah, so Nike RBI, RBI stands for Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities. And so there's MLB sponsored clubs and affiliates, but really it's about, giving young men and women both, so it's baseball and softball,
right.
The chance to play the game essentially for free. So uniforms and entry fees and, initiations and umpires, all that stuff's all paid for. And so I'm a believer, and I think the RBI believes in, or like the program MLB, is sports teaches kids so much more than just
no doubt
lose, right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's what it's doing. It's giving these kids opportunities. Every time I ask, some of the kids that play in the program, what do they like about it? The number one answer is opportunity. Meeting new people, being able to travel and do things that they never would have done. And these are kids that don't have much, and so it's they teach them not only baseball and softball skills, but communication skills. How to fill out applications for college, how to fill out FAFSA.
Yep.
How to overcome adversity, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good program that tries to develop the whole kid, not just their baseball or softball skills.
Yeah. As I mentioned, through a friend of a friend, my younger son, both sons played baseball, both girls played softball, and we're a big sports family, so same. But one of them had the opportunity. The younger one had the opportunity to be on the Red Sox RBI team a couple of years.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I was telling you pre-show, we were in Florida on vacation. He's up in Massachusetts, or New England rather, playing a tournament, that tournament, and we get a call. They won the game. Their next game is like the next day at Yankee Stadium. So my wife flew home and the rest of us stayed to finish the vacation. And so he had a chance to play what kid has a chance to play at a major league ballpark?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right? Yeah. So quick aside, what's your favorite park so far?
Well, Fenway is always going to be number one.
For sure. Okay.
Number two, I would say, is Wrigley. Again, a lot of simulators if folks haven't been there. Just a great vibe, around the whole park too, not just inside.
Yeah. Wrigleyville. We had the opportunity to see the Sox at Wrigley, which was cool. And usually when we travel for the ballpark tour, we don't try to follow the Red Sox. It's too difficult to make the schedule work. A couple of times, but so my favorite. Yep, I'm with you on those two, but for other reasons, Petco for sure, and the Tigers. I forget what that one is.
Comerica.
Oh yeah, Comerica. Yeah, that because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Arlington, the new Arlington. I like the old Arlington and the new Arlington. Those are cool too, but again, different reasons.
Yeah, number 3 is PNC in Pittsburgh. It's a real
beautiful, right on the water.
If people haven't been there, I highly recommend it. It's really you don't think of a great ballpark that's downtown Pittsburgh, but I agree. Petco in San Diego and Oracle in San Francisco are probably the top 5.
That was our most recent. We just came back from there a couple months ago. Yep. So how can people help the foundation, you and the foundation, in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, well, a couple different ways. One, obviously, the easiest is to go to the website, jacksonyelle.com, and donate. I mean, that's simple. But, like I said, we have a golf tournament coming up. If people want to do a tea sponsor and support the event, you can do that. If they've got a raffle item they'd like to donate, whether it's art or clothing or signed memorabilia or sports tickets, they can do that. But then we're also looking for organizations to invest in and partner with, right? We're new to this too. Obviously, we've got a relationship with RBI that we're going to work to try to continue, but we're open, right? The whole mission of the organization is to try to help support the development of young men and women. And sports is one avenue. It doesn't have to be sports, but what are some other ways? And so I tell my wife I'll have a cup of coffee with anybody. If somebody wants to reach out and just brainstorm, I'm not sure it's always a fit, but I'll talk to anybody. And
all right, so we're actually networking on live radio and TV right now.
Yeah.
My guest 2 weeks ago was a guest bunch of years ago, has become a friend, one of those clients that's become a friend. I'm going to connect you with him. He knows a bunch of, he's plugged in New York. He's in Madison, Connecticut, as it turns out. No, just a coincidence from family.
Yeah.
But he's somebody you should definitely talk to. He's an entrepreneur and he knows a ton of people. And I think he would just want to help you. So I'll connect you with Scott. And this is the first time I think I've networked and made connections on a live.
Yeah, program. No, that's awesome. Appreciate it. So it could be sponsoring an educational program. Maybe it's, I'm a big believer. Not every kid has to go to college, and so maybe it's something in the trade, sector. So again, we're open to a lot of different ideas.
Fantastic. Where do you see the foundation going?
Well, our dream would be that it gets to a point where it can sustain itself and carry on even after Andrea and I are gone, and Lexi continue to run it. And again, I think early days. So we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary here in a few weeks, and trying to focus on getting through the golf tournament. But we're having some discussions. There's a new program with MAD, Mothers Against Drink Driving. It's called MAD Sports. It's fairly new, so we had a call with them next week. But yeah, I'd say really it's about trying to help our mission and develop young men and women, give them some opportunities, and trying to find those programs to try to hone in and partner with, kind of on a bigger scale long term.
I want to read the mission for people, and I want you to comment on any aspect of this you want to. Vision: put good young people into the world just like Jackson, and that's a hashtag, just like Jackson. Mission: to encourage moral character and positive growth in kind young people. How? We'll do this by providing financial support to programs that encourage young people to become good humans through character and growth, encouraging self-awareness, good citizenship, self-management, resilience, and perseverance. Community: creating community and making a positive contribution to society by promoting kindness and inclusion, fitness and wellness, embracing a lifelong commitment to health, and living our best lives.
Yeah, so sadly, sometimes you have to have something tragic happen to learn something. And so in this case, we didn't realize the impact Jackson was making on his community until he passed away, until he was killed. And to have that community share with us all the positive impact that he made, it was overwhelming. And unfortunately, we had to find out that way. But so we're just trying to promote those same values, the kind of same moral character, and those kids are our future, right? They're the next generation of leaders and business people, and just want them to have a great moral compass and fiber and do some good things. So that's kind of really what that's all about.
So cool. I'll email you after, but I'd like something I can send around to my contacts as well. Something about the golf tournament and how people can help out and get involved in that, and other, just the foundation in general. All right. So the website is Jackson. Well, one of them I saw is jacksonyelle.com, right?
Yeah, that's the foundation. Yep.
Yep. And that's YELLE, everybody. You can email Scott at Jacksonyelle, JacksonYELLE.com, NewEnglandSalesSolutions.com. Is that right?
Yeah, all one big word. Yep. Spell it all out. 2 S's in there.
Great. And we just love that you took some time out. I thank you for being here. I know I say this, but I know you are busy. You're doing multiple things on the go. So I appreciate you taking some time.
No, I appreciate you having me, letting us share the story, not only of Jackson, but the work we're doing from New England Sales Solutions. And I'm a sales guy, so it's not hard to get me going talking about sales. Love it. So.
Same. Yeah, we'll nerd out. We'll nerd out later.
Yeah.
And thanks, everybody. Thank you again, Scott, for being here. Thank you all for listening and watching. This is a show about business and business challenges. This was a unique program, but there's still a business aspect to what Scott is doing. If you've got concerns about the growth of your company, feel free to reach out to me or Scott, Facebook or LinkedIn. You can reach Scott in the contact you saw. If you want to reach out to me, one of my email addresses is kevin@winningbusinessradio.com. Our company is Winning Incorporated. We're part of Sandler Training. We develop sales teams into high achievers and sales leaders into true coaches and mentors. By the way, there's a little bit of overlap between what Scott does and what I does. I does. Yeah, I can speak. Sorry, Mom. What I do, very little overlap. I work with people more. He's really focused on kind of the nuts and bolts, the things that we don't do. So if we have a conversation and I can't help you, maybe Scott can. Thank you once again to producer and engineer Juan. Juan, I appreciate you. Thanks for another job well done. Be here to join us in 2 weeks. We'll be airing a previous episode on Labor Day, but on Monday, September 9th, my guest will be old friend Walker McKay, founder and principal of McKay Consulting Group, and Scott, you might get a kick out of this, the No BS Sales School and the No BS Sales School podcast. Until then, this is Kevin Hallinan.
You've been listening to Winning Business Radio with your host, Kevin Hallinan. If you missed any part of this episode, the podcast is available on Talk4 Podcasting and iHeartRadio. For more information and questions, go to winningbusinessradio.com or check us out on social media. Tune in again next week and every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to listen live to Winning Business Radio on W4CY Radio, W4CY.com. Until then, let's succeed where others have failed and win in business with Kevin Hallinan and Winning Business Radio.